Primordial is the brand new indoor-outdoor interactive dark ride roller coaster hybrid that just opened up at Lagoon in Utah. So right away, yes, this ride is a little bit of everything. It's got a low height requirement so everyone in the family can ride. It packs in a couple surprises, is very well themed, and is on the same level as something you would typically see at Universal or Disney, except it's in the middle of Utah. Not what you expect at all. Prior to this attraction, Lagoon is home to 10 roller coasters, many of them family attractions, but over the past couple of years, they started doing things in-house. They said instead of working with a typical ride manufacturer, we're going to create the rides ourselves. So they first did Bombora, and then in 2015, they debuted their most extreme attraction, Cannibal, and then in the winter of 2018, we saw a groundbreaking for a brand new attraction, one like we'd really never seen before. There were a couple delays, mainly due to the COVID pandemic, but here we are towards the end of 2023, Lagoon was able to get this thing open. So in this video, I'm going to do my best to describe the ride experience to you. So there will be spoilers, so please beware if you want to be surprised going into this attraction. I would recommend clicking the Save for Later button, come back after you've ridden. So, for those of you still here, the best way I would describe Primordial is a combination between Wonder Mountain's Guardian and Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts at Universal. Both of those rides are technically roller coasters. You get the interactivity with Wonder Mountain's Guardian, also in a mountain with lots of screens, but it's mostly dark ride. You get a little bit more roller coaster with Escape from Gringotts, and also a cool couple tricks, which Primordial absolutely packs in. The actual mountain structure that Lagoon has built here is huge. There's actually quite a lot of ride packed in here. From start to finish, your ride experience is about 4.5 minutes, which is really impressive. But you know, even though this has more roller coaster sections than Wonder Mountain's Guardian, there's still a lot of this ride that is just pure dark ride, where you're right up against the screens, shooting different targets. Your score is tallied up throughout the experience, and at the end, they'll literally show you like who got first place, who got second place. Of course, there's also a full sound system within your ride vehicle. So they have some awesome music playing throughout the experience, different sound effects. I believe Primordial has its own custom soundtrack. It reminded me very much of the score from the Hunger Games. You can hear it playing in the queue as you're going up the lift hill, then during the ride. It was really quite good. And I think if anything, that just shows you the amount of time and effort that Lagoon put into this thing. Primordial had a huge budget, one that would make this one of the most expensive roller coasters ever built. And I have to imagine that most of that went into the theming, but when you also take a look at these vehicles, there's nothing else like it. So that's also a lot of R&D that you gotta do. But you know, for doing something that hasn't really been done before, it worked really well. During the time that I was at Lagoon and it was operating, we never saw it go down once. They had so many vehicles on the track, as soon as one entered the mountain, the next one would start up the lift hill, which was definitely important because when you have 8 passengers per vehicle, you want to keep that line moving. And with it being a brand new attraction, Primordial got a huge line, which is really unfortunate because this is a roller coaster that you will 100% want to do more than once. But with the crowds that it's been getting, that's not always possible. At least as of so far, I've heard of Primordial getting 2, 3, 4 hour lines. I got to ride it twice. Both times I waited about an hour and a half, which I recognize is actually on the shorter side compared to normal. So I'm really just glad that I got to do it more than once. Unfortunately, I got the same ending both times. Now, on any other roller coaster, you'd be like, yeah, of course you got the same ending. But Primordial has 6 different variations of your ending experience. Some of that is with what you'll be seeing on screen. The other part is a physical element that you will experience. So what are they? First, you have a drop track. I don't have an exact height for this drop, but according to the people at Lagoon, it's the world's tallest drop track. If that's true, then that is absolutely crazy. The other function is something that you won't find on any other roller coaster in the world, and that is a slide track. The best way I can describe this is that it starts off as a tilt track. Your vehicle will either tilt forwards or backwards, and then you'll slide down and level out, and it is just a very bizarre sensation. I mentioned I got the same ending twice. I had the forward slide track, which, as cool as it is, I was definitely bummed that I didn't get to experience it backwards, because that just sounds crazy. And of course, missing out on the drop track was definitely painful. Never before have I ridden a roller coaster where the drop track is optional, and it's like, oh yeah, you might not get to experience that. So that is one of the obvious downsides with this roller coaster. And because Lagoon is definitely a little out there, I don't know the next time that I'll be able to take a ride on this thing and hopefully get lucky. So those are the 3 different element variations that you can have for the end of Primordial. What makes it 6 different endings is that each of those can be lined up with either a dragon or an owl. We got the dragon both times. So yes, we had a 1 in 6 chance of getting the exact same ending, and of course that's what we got. Go figure. But the reason you either end with the dragon or owl is because those are the guardians that you're there to rescue. This is a story-driven experience. Now, sometimes it is a little hard to keep track of. Like, I definitely wish there was a little bit more commentary, like, of different actions and what's going on during the ride. Moments like these definitely just feel like a mindless video game. Like, okay, quick, shoot the bad guys. You did it! Except they don't even say that. Usually when it's an interactive experience, you have a guide that's kind of walking you through things. Your guide for Primordial is this amazing animatronic that you get right before you board. I did not expect Lagoon to go this route, but this is like their first fully modern animatronic, and it looks great. Lagoon developed a full backstory and different characters surrounding this experience. It's not based off of IP, you don't need to know anything before going into this ride. Basically, this mythical kingdom has been attacked by a huge army. They're in grave danger, and so it's up to you to defeat the enemies and free the guardians. Definitely not anything complex, but also like a bunch of little kids could ride this thing if they want to. So they definitely kept it simple. Don't expect the story to be anything mind-blowing, but the experience as a whole, yes. Now, as you've been watching this video, you've been seeing a lot of footage of the outside of the mountain. This is the only roller coaster section that takes place outdoors. You have a very noisy lift hill as you climb up to the top, you drop off, bank to the left, hug the mountainside, go into a helix, actually pulls some decent forces, probably more than you would expect, and then you level out, dive into the mountain. You have another little gradual turn here before you level out and come to a stop. When we posted our on-ride POV, I know a lot of people were kind of giving this section of the ride crap for looking unfinished and really just bare, which don't get me wrong, it does. Here's what I'll say though, you go by it pretty fast that you don't really notice it when you're on the experience. We also did Primordial at night, and we definitely couldn't see any of it then. It was just pitch black. But once you level out, that's when the theming really kicks in. For the most part, the inside of Primordial is made up of screens, but they do have some practical effects. Moments like these almost remind me of the Indiana Jones adventure at Disneyland. Very jungly, ancient feeling. And this is when things get cool. Your vehicles are going to rotate to the left 90 degrees. As you can see when the vehicles are going around the track here, there's a pretty large gap between the two cars. It's because these vehicles can rotate 360 degrees around. That's why when you actually board the coaster, you step onto the moving loading platform, take a seat facing sideways, almost in the same way as like Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, and then as you're ready to dispatch, they rotate to the left, and that's when you make the turn to go up the lift. So this is the first time during the ride experience that you rotate to face the screens. You're going to shoot a lot of spiders, no bad guys yet. You then get a wide overview of the kingdom. You got some more characters that you can shoot. Each blaster has a different color, so you can kind of keep track of which one is yours. The one inherent downside with having vehicles like this, where you're shooting characters on a screen, if you're in the front, you get to the targets a lot sooner than you would if you're in the back. So like re-rode this twice, once up front, once in the second row. When you're in the front, you got first dibs, so that automatically gives you an advantage. At this point, you then again rotate 90 degrees. This time you are facing backwards. And this is your other main roller coaster section. You have a backwards drop. It slants you to the right. You're completely in the darkness, just a couple little lanterns here. You bank to the left, then level out again. Once again, you got some more practical effects, this time some rock work, some cool vines. This backward section was actually a lot of fun. I did not expect it before going in. I tried to avoid as many spoilers as I could. And having done Wonder Mountain's Guardian at Canada's Wonderland, once you're in the mountain, it's pretty much just straight screens, at least until you get to the drop track. So I really appreciate that they worked this in. You rotate again, so you're facing sideways. This time you're shooting some birds. You turn past the statue of this creepy looking skeleton dude. You're once again backwards. You're enveloped completely in fog. Really spooky, good atmosphere in this mountain. You then have another screen, this time a lot more characters to shoot at. In this case, the battle is really heating up. And then you enter your final room of the main ride experience. This is a full wraparound screen, so everywhere you look, there's something going on. As I mentioned earlier, we had the dragon, so we're seeing all this fire and lava, really cool vibe. We rotate to the left so that we are facing forwards on the upcoming slide track. If you get the backwards slide track, then in that case, you would rotate then the other way. And right as the dragon breathes fire, we tilt downwards, slide, and then come to a stop. Really crazy sensation. It reminds me of some of those fun tricks that you get on winges at Phantasialand. Just like something that you don't get anywhere else. And you rotate back, then you get your scoreboard, and then the last thing you see is two of the characters saying you saved the day, and you're back on the moving loading platform. I really enjoyed the experience. I thought the screens looked pretty good. I know Triotech did that. They're the same ones that did the screens for Wonder Mountain's Guardian. The slide track was totally unexpected, really bizarre. I was expecting something else to happen afterwards. Like after my first ride, I thought it felt like kind of an abrupt ending. After doing it a second time though, it makes sense that your big finale is like the climax of the ride. But I really liked all the effects that they had in place. For a regional theme park, this attraction is extremely impressive. You could easily plop this down at Walt Disney World, replace the characters in here with an IP from Disney, and boom, it would blend in perfectly. Like that's how you know that they did a good job. So let's talk final scores. For this one, I'm gonna give Primordial a 9 out of 10. And that's because when I compare it to other big family attractions, well-themed ones, Primordial just steps it up from so many others. It's easily the best family attraction in the park. Is it the best overall ride? Really depends on what kind of experience you're looking for. I still prefer Cannibal, but this is a heck of a lot better themed. Like Lagoon literally said, yeah, we know that we have this huge mountain backdrop for our park, but we're gonna build a smaller mountain in front of that mountain anyways because we can. Like, it's literally nuts. And from what I understand, they're not even done with it. Right here, there's supposed to be a waterfall coming down. That's not in place yet. I imagine it will be at the beginning of next season. So all the more reason to come out here and check this thing out. I'm willing to bet you haven't experienced anything else quite like this, even if you've done Wonder Mountain's Guardian. This is just superior in every single way. And if Lagoon's last coasters were this and Cannibal, it definitely gets me interested in knowing what they're going to do next, because that's a pretty cool 1-2 punch. So let me know down in the comments below if you've ventured out to Lagoon yet to experience Primordial, what you thought of it, if you agree with the points that I brought up. If you think there's anything I missed, be sure to post that down below, and stay tuned for more here at Coaster Studios, and I'll see you next time.